When I watch reality shows, the thing that constantly just blows my mind is the amount of sound bites that they have. And granted, this is a reality show, they're dealing with big budgets, so I'm sure they got 30, 40 of whatever mics that they use floating around on talent all day. But I try to piggyback that same idea, that concept with the wedding films. And I think that's really the key ingredient to building these stories and creating these cinematic trailers that I make, or even in our latest wedding film of Jillian and Gabriel, which I'll talk about that one a lot. I'll kind of use references from that film. So if you haven't seen it, be sure to click this link up here somewhere. Watch that film. It was the first one where we did mic the couple all day and we focused more on sound bites. So in terms of getting sound bites, there's a few different ways you can approach it. And my favorite, my go-to method is just putting a mic on somebody.
And Hunter did, and Kaylee did, and Vic did.
The quiet, more introverted people of the wedding party tend to work really well because they'll be around the people talking, but they themselves won't be talking. So it's kind of like almost having that person carry a microphone for you just to pick up other people. I guess that is exactly what it is. You want to put mics on both people that are going to give you sound bites and be all eccentric and talking and interactive, but then you also want mics on people who are a little more reserved, because when they're around people, we want that mic to be used to capture the dialogue of the people that aren't mic'd.
I'd say Big Booty over there with the stripes.
The stripes, you ain't a fan?
I like the pants.
All right.
Sound bites don't have to be what you expect them to be. Like, you don't have to go up to the bride and say, how'd you guys meet? Or ask a random couple, tell me something nice about the bride and groom. That doesn't have to be your actual source or method for getting sound bites. You really want to think about it from a story perspective and how you're going to fit these sound bites into their story. Now, if we talk about Jillian and Gabriel's film a little bit, they were a very young couple. Everything through the entire wedding day was just full of energy and fun, vibes, laughter from both the bridal side and the groom side. In terms of sound bites, it was really interesting because this couple chose not to do official toasts, which as filmmakers in the wedding industry, that's kind of like we rely on that to build our stories. I think this was also the most creative I was able to get, because not having those toasts, I actually ended up looking and finding the sound bites a little bit more to try to build the story around that. This is when I realized I needed to mic more than just the bride and groom. The approach for most of my sound bites is just organic. Whatever they're talking about, whatever they're, who they're talking to, the conversations that they're having. A lot of the times I don't like to ask questions because then it makes them feel like they're on the spot, like they have to say the right thing or they have to give you the right answer. And I want most of the energy, most of the things that's in the wedding films to feel and look almost as organic as possible. There are some situations where I do ask questions, and usually I try to ask those questions whenever the person is doing something. For example, if a bridesmaid is steaming a dress, while she's steaming the dress, that might be an opportunity to ask a question.
We were in Vegas and Dylan's mom was trying to take a picture of me and Dylan romantically kissing in front of the light show, and and he was all into it, but every time he'd get close, I'd be like...
It's always easier too if you have a really good on-camera microphone. I use the Rode NTG3. It picks up amazing quality audio. Having a good shotgun mic not only helps with scratch audio, but it really does help when you got to get a quick interview on the spot. A good example of this is the Casey and Jake trailer that we posted. The bride's mother passed away before the wedding, and when hair and makeup was finished, a cardinal landed on the ceremony site. Everyone in the bridal suite lost their mind. The bride was crying, grandparents was crying, the bridal party was crying. And instead of actually asking questions in that moment, I just filmed it. I filmed everything that was happening. My bride was mic'd, so we were still getting sound bites, but I filmed the emotion. I filmed everyone tearing up. I filmed the people hugging each other. I just wanted to capture that moment. After everybody had gotten, collected themselves and moved on to the next thing, I took a couple of them out and just asked some questions as if I wasn't there. I was just like, hey, what actually just happened?
I think it's really sweet just because there's a lot of family that's not present today. There's a little bird hopping, so it's really sweet. There's someone already here, and it's not even started yet, so.
Now when I put that moment in the wedding film, I have a soundbite or two that I can connect to it so that as the viewer, that someone that's not a part of that day, or maybe someone who's a part of the family but wasn't in that moment, they understand what actually did take place. This is something that I see all the time in reality shows and documentaries. I pay close attention to this and I try to find out, when did they do this interview? Was it before? Was it after? Was it in the spot? And you can almost tell when it was something that took place afterwards because the scene will play out. But those impromptu interviews, the ones where it's like something takes place at this location and then you can tell they're still at that location, it's just a different angle, that's when you can tell like, okay, they got this interview right after whatever just took place happened.
Did you see Jake's tear?
Yes. And that really took me off guard because I've known Jake for a long time and I've never seen him cry like that. So
the biggest thing for me and what I struggle with is just shutting up. I'm a people person, so I'm always talking and cutting up with the bridal party. And if someone's cracking jokes, I want to crack jokes back. But a big thing that I constantly have to keep reminding myself is if they're having fun, let them have their fun and then chime in after. I'll be that super delayed reaction because I want to capture whatever is happening on camera. I want to get good audio. I want to keep my audio out of it. And I want to be able to use that if we need to put it into the story. The main reason you want to capture sound bites is because this is really where the story and the magic happens. The reception speeches are great, but they don't always give you a full picture. I've learned now that most of my stories are built from the sound bites we get and little bits and pieces here and there from what people say throughout the reception speeches. Another thing, just because we're talking about it, and I see this all the time with people that send me their films to review, you really want to clean up the audio. Just because they said it a specific way doesn't mean you have to tell it that way. This is the beauty in what we do as filmmakers and editors. We can mix around things and tell a completely different story. We see this all the time on reality shows and documentaries. They specifically cut up the things that people say to create the story that they're trying to tell. I do it all the time in my wedding films. I'll cut certain things, I'll move things around. Another good example of this is Jillian and Gabriel's film. I asked the bridesmaid, what does she think is gonna happen tonight? And the actual answer that she gave me was drawn out. It was this huge, long response. Part of it, I didn't think it actually helped the story. The very last bit, right before I was getting ready to hit record to stop recording, she says, I guess we'll see. Who's the craziest of the girls upstairs?
The craziest, probably Hunter Little.
What do you think? What do you think she's gonna be like at the reception?
Getting low. She's changing dresses, just like Jillian. I don't know. Guess we'll see.
That's just the power of editing. That's exactly what I mean. Those little things like that. Keep that in mind when you're getting these sound bites and you're recording your toast and you're adding toast to your films. Cut it up, make it make sense, and make it fit your story. So I know I'm talking about getting audio. If you want some insight on the audio equipment that I'm using, check out this video here. I do a full breakdown of my audio kit and talk about all the different things that I use, from the lapels to the shotgun mics and even the way that I mic my couples. One thing you want to do when you're getting sound bites is make the person feel comfortable. Sometimes you want to go ahead and ask them on the spot just to get them talking and then bring them somewhere else that's quieter, or catch them in the moment in an area that they're already quiet. For example, if something happens in the bridal suite where it's loud, they've got a bunch of music playing, but then the photographer and everyone goes outside to take photos, before the person that you want to interview goes back in, stop them on the spot and be like, oh, hey, I saw this happen in the bridal suite. What happened? What were y'all doing? And then get them talking about it, and boom, you got clear audio. You've got a great soundbite, and she didn't feel pressured because you didn't take her away from the group. You just stopped her on her transition back to the group. Little things like that I find really makes people feel more comfortable, and they open up a little bit easier. I still will take people from the bridal suite, take them outside, but usually when I do that, I can tell that they're already like, okay, what is he gonna ask me? Should I say this? Do I need to, they're already like self-conscious about what do I need to say. So I find it so much better to just ask a question on the spot right before, when they least expect it. Just pop up with a camera, boom, hit them with a question, they talk, and then that's that. What's your reaction gonna be when you see her in the dress for the first time?
I'm gonna cry. I will cry. Legit cry.
I like to ask questions that evoke emotions. I think these types of questions really help because then the person, they don't feel like they have to give you the right answer. They can just tell you how they feel. So I like to ask things like, how'd you find out about the proposal? Or how'd you feel when you found out your best friend was engaged? Things like that really make people open up on a different level. When you ask a question like, tell me something about the bride, or tell me something sweet about the groom, that they tend to get more closed in. They don't know what to say. Something that I've learned from watching Cheer on Netflix is that they do ask questions on the spot, but almost in a way where they're like making statements. And I literally piggyback that same thing. I'll do the same thing with my brides. If I see an emotion on the father of the bride or the mother of the bride or something like that, I might bring these things up and just say like, hey dad, you look relaxed, or hey dad, you look nervous, or hey dad, you look excited. You never know what you're gonna get, and that at the end of the day, neither do I. I can have a million questions that I want to ask, and unless the person is going to give me good sound bites, it's all for nothing. I know it's extremely difficult. You're filming, you want to be looking at your monitor, but by doing that, when you ask a question, they'll feel like you only care about the answer. Like you're looking at your camera. They know that they're being filmed. You're giving attention to your camera. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to be like, oh my God, he's filming me. Like, what do I say? What do I need to say? I might glance down real quick, make sure I'm in focus. We're good. But I'm looking at that person eye to eye. I'm giving them eye contact. I'm giving them, visual cues. If they're emotional about something, I'm frowning, I'm nodding my head. If they're laughing, I'm smiling. I'm giving them the visual confirmation of whatever it is that they're saying and whatever emotions they're expressing towards me. Whenever you're staring at the camera and you ask a question, you're staring at the camera, they're gonna give you a short response because they're ready for this to be over. So I guess all that to say, whenever you have the opportunity to ask a question, just try to make it more conversational and less like an interview. So just to recap, get as many sound bites as possible throughout the wedding day. Ask questions, be conversational, and make sure you listen. I just can't stress the fact that you have to listen. You have to pay attention to the things that are happening. If something happens over here, someone says something and you didn't film it, you can always bring it up later. You can always ask them like, hey, I heard this happen. What happened? The second thing I would say is put mics on people during hair and makeup. If you only have one mic in your kit right now, put that on the bride. Most of the people that's in the bridal suite will at some point interact with her. Another thing that I like to do, if you only have one mic, if the bride is in the makeup chair or the hair chair, you could put a mic on her, but you could also put the mic on one of the bridesmaids that are waiting, that are lingering, one that seems to have a little bit more energy, being very bubbly. By doing that, they're gonna float around and continue to have conversations, and you can capture that and then wait for the bride to get out of one of those chairs and put the mic back on her. Another thing is investing in a really good quality shotgun microphone. Grab yourself a more professional shotgun microphone to mount to the top of your camera. This is just gonna get you even better sound bites. I love the quality. I trust the quality in my Rode mic. Lastly, I will say make people feel comfortable. Don't always ask questions. Don't attack one person all day. Make it feel fun. Talk to people, engage with them. Ask questions after you see something happen. Ask questions about things that are taking place currently, and just make sure you keep the questions more conversational. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what just happened. Yo, I saw y'all just took shots, man. Y'all about to be lit tonight or what? As I continue to learn and get better with this style, I'll try my best to keep making content. If you have any questions whatsoever, as always, leave them in the comments below. Until the next video, keep creating, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Why not slow it down like that? I'll see you in the next one.